Yeah, Richard Kingscote alongside, looking back at a couple of those successes a few years ago. Welcome along. What a year that was.
Great year, yeah. Thanks for having me.
Well, that's it. There's going to be plenty more coming up in the next 2.5 hours. How are things with you? It feels like you come here off the back of a bit of a rebuild, but really having a really good time of it, particularly off the back of more success at Ascot.
Yeah, I'm currently having a good year. It's been a positive year. It was always going to be a year that was going to be, as you say, rebuilding after Sir Michael retired. But, you know, some old yards have supported me, like Rafe has come back and the Kublers are throwing me a lot. Dave Loughnane, your guest later, Ian Williams. So I'm, you know, picking up lots for lots of people.
Were you confident that was always going to happen?
I was hopeful, obviously, but having Rafe have a conversation with me at the end of last year was, I think, helpful going into the winter.
A specific conversation regards saying, I'm going to use you next year? Or a more sort of general...
No guarantees.
Friendly...
Yeah, friendly. Why didn't you come in again? And I made an effort to go and speak to him, really, because he's been, you know, a good yard for me over the years, and it never really worked that I could link up much with him, being with Tom and then with Sir Michael. So, you know, he's a formidable yard, and if you ride for him, you ride winners.
I guess when the Sir Michael link-up came, were you always aware that it wasn't going to be a very long one, or did you, because you thought that there might be an impending retirement, or did you hope it would last longer than it did? Did it fulfil your expectations?
I think I went in there with no expectations. Obviously, you know, retirement's going to happen at some stage for him. I never asked Sir Michael what his thoughts were or how long. And of course, another year would always be nice, but I had a few really good years, as you saw, a couple of Group 1s and quite a good few group winners.
I mean, a classic, right? That is...
Yeah, I mean...
No, but it just doesn't get better, right?
It's opened a lot of doors for me. Them few years with Sir Michael were fantastic.
If that hadn't happened, would Hong Kong never have happened?
Very likely, yeah.
It just wouldn't have been on the cards? Because unless you're a Derby-winning, Champion Stakes-winning rider, you know, with that on your CV, you think it just doesn't happen? Probably.
I certainly wouldn't have got to Japan without them on my CV, and then it very likely wouldn't have happened. I'd have got to Hong Kong either. So, you know, those winners for me have been hugely important. Yeah.
When the announcement came, or when you were told that Sir Michael was going to retire, and obviously that whole association was going to come to an end, like, you strike me as a person who would have just dealt with it, but maybe that's wrong, and just said, oh, that's cool, you know, that's how it goes. There must have been a part of you that got home and went, I'm gutted.
Yeah, of course, because when you go into a winter and you have knowing horses that you've got to look forward to in the next year, you know, when you were riding for Sir Michael, you knew there was likely going to be some group horses you're going to get to ride. But last year, without that, it was like, what good horse am I going to get to ride? So I've been fortunate that Time for Sandals was there, and luckily I was, you know, right that she was good enough.
Yeah, you said you called that quite early, didn't you?
Yeah, I mean, I thought she was unlucky last year on a couple of occasions, and Harry's done a great job with her. So it's not often I'm right, but we were for once.
Yeah, but you were right, but she was still a price in this. I mean, not many expected that type of performance. You obviously did.
Well, I don't know if we expected her to go and win, but I expected her to run very well. As I said on the day, she'd done a brilliant bit of work 10 days before. Hopefully there's more to come as well.
I remember, so the job I was doing at Ascot was interlinked with the ITV coverage. And we'd always watch the winning interviews and we'd do something after that. And I remember Matt Chapman coming up to you and afterwards and saying, pretty much straight off the bat, it was like, you know, well done. It's been a tough time for you. It's been a quiet year for you, but you're back in the big time. Which, as a viewer, I quite like. I'm like, yeah, you know, I quite like that immediate. It's not just a little pat on the back, like, well done, you must feel so great. But I felt you were a little affronted initially by that.
I thought it was a bit harsh. I didn't think I was struggling that much.
I guess what I mean is, no, I'm not digging Matt out here at all. My point is, did you feel that was the narrative?
I don't know. I came in for a lot of stick last year, riding for Sir Michael, and the year before particularly, and I don't know. I didn't think last year was a hard year for me. This year, I felt I've been riding better.
But was last year a hard year because you weren't riding as well as you can, do you think? Or was it you didn't have the horses? Or did your confidence take a dip? Or what was it that led to last year, as you say, being a tough year?
I struggled for flow. You often get, once the ball gets rolling, you start getting a few winners, and that's probably confidence. But I didn't feel I was riding my best. But I think this year I'm pretty happy with the way I'm riding, and things are going well.
So how many years have you been riding now?
You make me old now. I'm almost at 21 years.
Almost at 21 years. Okay.
Yeah.
So you started when you were 18.
First ride at 18.
So how do you go into 20 years of riding and you feel you're not riding as well as you were in the past, if you know what I mean? 'Cause it feels like you should be better than ever. So what is the... why might that be? Is it the... Take me into the mind of a rider. Is it the split-second decision-making? Is it doing things wrong? Or is it not doing so many things right, making more mistakes? What is it that you measure yourself on when you're riding well or you're not riding well?
I don't know. I guess I can overthink on occasion. So obviously, for a jockey to ride with confidence is a huge plus. And I guess I just went through a stage of overthinking things. I ended up changing agents back end of last year, which has probably done me good, although I was with a very good agent. The change was good. So, I don't know. I try not to overthink things too much, but sometimes it happens, and just get on with it and keep riding.
Well, you're a sportsman, you're in the public eye, and when you're suddenly thrust into being stable jockey for a yard like Sir Michael Stoute, that comes with a whole new world of focus and pressures. And fine, you ride a Champions Stakes winner, you ride a Derby winner, but you're like suddenly everything you do, even on other horses for other stables, I think is under the microscope a bit more because you're his rider. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, but that's a positive, being his rider. People loved that I rode for Sir Michael and that they could put me on. It was great. But we just had a hard year. Things were slow. Horses were struggling a bit. I was struggling with my feedback to Sir Michael. For whatever reason, whether I just couldn't quite get a gauge on horses, which is something I am usually reasonably good at. And this year I've been, pretty spot on in my feedback with people. But that was something, I always struggled at the beginning with Sir Michael. How do you tell someone that already knows what you're going to say? So you almost don't say anything. But our results were good, had a lot of group winners. So for the most part, it was very positive.
I think the feedback thing that you touch on there is something that people that don't ride or aren't in that part of it, if you're not a owner regularly receiving feedback, or you're not, that's the part I think that goes underappreciated. you watch someone in a race and you go, yeah, good job, not so good job, not bad, whatever, and then the job is done, but that's obviously not the case. Whereas I guess for you, you want to be able to feed something back, which then comes to fruition. You go, good job.
Yes, there's an awful lot more to being a jockey than actually riding the horse, and feedback is important. And when you get it right, you know, it's only sometimes small tweaks or picking up on something the horse is doing where you can help it improve a couple of pound. That's what our job is. So I like to get it right.
Did Hong Kong, that move, did that just suddenly lift you? It feels that came at a good time.
Yeah, it came at a very good time. I initially planned to stay all winter, and I was getting fed up driving up and down for a ride here and a ride there, and it's a long winter here. So that came at a real good time, and I enjoyed it there. You have to put a bit of graft in, but it was a very new experience. Although we're racing horses, it's still very different, and it was good.
It went pretty well, but there were no guarantees.
No.
Like you could have gone there and it could have been like, who's this guy? Like that's you know, it might not have worked.
Yeah, absolutely. English racing is a long way away from, you know, Hong Kong, Australia, Japan. So you get there and you're starting afresh, really. And it took a while to bed in, to start picking up a few rides. And I messaged Holly about 2 weeks to go and said, I think I'm coming home without a winner. But fortunately, hit a treble the last week, and then the last meeting, another winner.
And that's massive. And then all of a sudden the option comes to move out there for a sustained period, which you're going to do in what, 5 weeks?
Yeah, 5 weeks today. Hopefully I'll fly. Looking forward to it.
So you've got Goodwood and York here.
Yeah.
And then you're on a plane, and you basically don't come back to ride here, or will you for a little bit?
Potentially, depends on how well it goes. I've been granted a 6-month licence, which is, I'm told, what everyone starts on. Harry, Andrea, and hopefully it goes well, and that will extend their seasons 10 months long. So sometimes the lads do come back to ride, but I guess it's an open book, and I'll just see how we go.
Was that it seems when you're describing it from a career point of view, it seems a pretty obvious decision to make, because of the upside, opportunities-wise, financially, etc. You're approaching the twilight of your career, right? That's ultimately where you're at. So a great time to go and do something like that. But like for a guy that's been set here for so long, that has so many contacts here, with a young family as well, that can't be an easy decision to up sticks and move to Hong Kong. I don't know, maybe it is.
I think it was an easy decision in the end, because I've no real ties here, although I'm very fortunate and I can keep busy here. It's came at a good time, and I think it was a pretty easy decision after I'd been there and seen it. And obviously it's not a given that it'll go well, but the potential is massive, and I like to try these new challenges, and if it doesn't go well, I'll come back and get my head down and carry on. You know, I like racing, so it's not like if it doesn't go well there, I'm just going to go and hide in a hole. I'll be back and give it a go, but I'll be, 100% all in and give Hong Kong a good bash.
So this could be 6 months, it could be 6 years. It's just how well it goes, but you're just committed to going out there and making it work for as long as possible.
Exactly, yeah.
What was it like? I haven't been racing out there. How different is it? How easy, difficult is it to get the rides you want and to live the life out there where you're not racing every day?
Yeah, so there's different difficulties, you know, the positives are there's an awful lot less travelling, the prize money is amazing, the facilities are unbelievable. As you say, you only race twice a week, which takes a little bit of getting used to. I'll have to agent myself after a little while, which is probably something for English riders that doesn't come naturally.
But that's what happens out there, right?
That's what happens out there. No one's agented. You do yourself. You've got to be proactive, and yeah, you've got to organise yourself and the calendar and start to learn the racing calendar and try and.
So you basically you want to get in with the dominant forces. But aren't the regular guys going to be back there trying to dominate those markets? So you've got to try and.
Yeah, of course.
How do you do that? How do you navigate your way in there?
Well, I was very fortunate when I went there. A few of the local trainers were very supportive. Let me ride a few gallops, threw me on a few horses, and Harry Eustace's brother, I phoned up before I went and said, if you can throw me a lifeline, that'd be great. So he gave me a winner, and Ricky, you provided me with the other few winners. But I was pleased with the support I got. But wherever I've been in the world, it's always taken a little while for people to start using me.
What's the weighing room like?
It's actually quite a good crack.
Is it?
Yeah,
Friendly, welcoming.
I was expecting standoffish.
That's what I'd think.
Very competitive. That's what you think.
That's what I think.
It is very competitive, but good bunch of lads. You know, Andrea, Hugh Bowman. Andrea looked after me so well out there. He really showed me the ropes, and Harry as well. So it was good crack.
Because I imagine from an outsider coming in, particularly under the circumstances you came in when some guys had got quite badly injured and they effectively needed people quite quickly, didn't they? It was
I was in within a week. Yeah.
So I'd imagine it being you walk in and people are they're sure welcoming, but you're a threat, right? A new person coming out there, a threat to a livelihood. But I guess it helps with people like Harry and Andrea that you know them very well. But even so.
Yeah, I mean, it's cutthroat. Andrea even messaged for one of my rides. It's how it is out there, and you just got to accept that. The trainer said, I thought you were mates. But I think it's not a bother, it's just how it is.
Did he get the ride?
No, I rode it.
Oh, did it win?
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
Keep the ride.
Exactly. But Andrea didn't know when I was going and when it would run, so, it's quite funny.
Can you ride bikes out there?
No.
No.
Not motor ones.
Is that still happening?
What?
You riding bikes here?
Yeah, I raced it last weekend.
Did you?
Yeah. But they're now for sale.
Because you're moving?
Because I'm moving.
Oh, that's hard, isn't it?
Yeah, one might go into storage, I'll see. But as I say, it's a good opportunity and I can come back and ride bikes anytime.
I looked at your Wikipedia. Did you write it?
No.
No. I didn't expect so. Anyway, there's a lot about the career and everything. And then it just says other interests. It just says Richard rides motorbikes and has lots of tattoos.
Yeah.
That's it.
Which is true.
Are you happy that's what defines you?
Not really. I should. The tattoo stuff, I haven't had any in 12 years and probably should have kept them under wraps a bit more.
Yeah, but it's part of you, right?
It is part of me.
Yeah.
But
where does that come from? Is that just
angry teenage stage, I'd say. Who knows?
But it's something that sets you apart. It's not what you expect necessarily.
No,
there's not going to be loads of people.
A lot of lads now
do. In the weighing room, right?
A lot are now, but when I started 20 years ago, not many.
And where does the passion for the bikes come? That's just what, risk and speed and adrenaline? No,
I'm actually quite. I've got quite high self-preservation on it. But it's one of them things, no matter how good you're doing, you can do better. And for me, you have to concentrate 100% on it rather than having other things in your mind.
Sure, I get the self-preservation point, totally. But you're still on a very fast bike and you're not exactly pottering around, right? So I guess the point is, you ride horses, which is dangerous, and then in your time off, you like to go and do this, which is also it's dangerous, right?
Of course, it's dangerous, but life's dangerous, and I feel if something's going to happen, it will happen. You know, how many?
That's your bike you own?
Yeah, that's mine. Yeah.
What is it?
That's an R6.
I have no idea what that is.
A Yamaha 600.
It sounds like an R6.
That's a lovely bike. I've owned it since new. That's the one I'll probably put in storage and keep. But anything can happen just any day of the week, and I've a dangerous job. I may as well do the things I enjoy. And when my brother had his mountain bike accident, ended up in a wheelchair, I said, you know, I shouldn't really be riding bikes.
How long ago was that?
3 years, 4 years, I think. But you've got to do things you enjoy, and even he says you've got to carry on and do things you enjoy. So
did that change you though in any way?
Probably. Makes you a little more mindful that it can happen, because when things don't happen to you, it's you know it can happen, but it won't happen to me. But then when it's close, it's a reality then.
That sort of cloak of invincibility just goes a little bit.
Yeah, of course.
But it doesn't. I mean, you're still doing. It doesn't. I guess day to day it doesn't affect you, but it makes you think a little bit more.
Yeah, it doesn't affect me massively. Not. I guess when I've been racing the bike this year with Hong Kong coming up, I've been extra careful because it's not worth busting myself up. But at the same time, it was something I've always wanted to race it, so this was the year to do it, really.
But it's hard, isn't it? Because that's in you, that you have that. I guess your natural programming, given what you do, is to seek that. I don't know whether it's an adrenaline rush or whether it's just being self-competitive or whether it's freeing, but it's obviously in you to go and do that sort of stuff.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know what it is. But I enjoy working on the bike as well. It's not just the riding of the bike. You know, I've stripped them and rebuilt them, and the race weekend is a great weekend with friends. You know, so it's not just about riding the bike.
Since you've been through what you've been through in the last, particularly, I guess, you know, 6 or 7 years, since Tom and then on to Sir Michael and then on to what you're doing now, do you feel a very different person?
Not particularly, no. I think I've always been pretty relaxed and straightforward with a lot of things. I stress about silly things and annoy the wife, but not riding, and myself as a person, I don't think I've changed a great deal.
You seem pretty thick-skinned. I don't know if that's the case, but you definitely come across as pretty level and.
I'm a realist. I know I've had a charmed life because of racing, so I'm pretty happy with my career.
When you won the Derby, did you really let it all go and celebrate?
No.
No, I don't mean. I know you didn't hear. I know you didn't afterwards. You weren't stood up. You weren't going nuts after the line, and I wouldn't expect Richard Kingscote to do that. I mean, when you got home,
No, I was in bed at 8:30, I think, trying to get the young lad to sleep, and I then couldn't sleep myself. And
because you were buzzing?
I was buzzing. I was riding the next day.
You were in here the next day?
I was in here the next day and then off to Goodwood, so I'm not a partier. No.
But, look at you, I mean, you look happy.
Of course, yeah.
But you're not. I guess it's just a mark of you.
Well,
I guess everything, the highs and the lows, different people take the highs and the lows differently. Some people have big old swings, and maybe you do away from the cameras, but it just seems like you don't have your swings aren't massive.
Yeah, they're not massive up and downs, which I think is helpful in a job like mine.
But if you'd won the Derby at 21, would it have been different, or was that always you?
That was always me. Yeah. I've never really been one to jump up and down, and I don't know, maybe it's weird, I don't know, but I just feel like days like that, I was satisfied rather than feeling like I wanted to go out and party.
Mm. Yeah. Everyone's different, right?
Yeah.
And that's what we love about it.
Yeah.
Good.
Mm.
Was that pain-free enough?
Mm.
I feel like whenever you're interviewed, because quite often after a win you come and interview and you're
I hate it.
Yeah, you don't like it, do you?
Well,
This has actually been more comfortable, I think, in a way for you than immediately after a horse.
Well, the trouble is when you have an interview, interviewees regularly want you to big up a horse, and some trainers don't like their horses to be bigged up. Some do, some don't. So it's easier to say nothing, because you can't upset anybody if you say nothing. But obviously it's part of our job to do interviews after the race. But I'd rather just ride horses.
Does Ian Williams like his horses bigged up or not?
Depends on the horse.
Okay. We'll find out.
Yeah, hopefully he won't tell me off.
Thanks, Richard.
Thanks.
Watch live racing now on racingtv.com.